Discord channel. Yeah, so now it's being recorded. So as you know, I'm Milis, head of community of Syntropy, and it's been more than a week before we started our DeWeb hackathon, and I hope that your projects are progressing well. And as the submission date is, as the submission deadline is approaching, we decided to invite Dr. Jonikas, who is a marketing scientist, researcher, and practitioner who works with startups all over the world. And today we'll hear some tips and tricks from him on how to prepare a good pitch. I believe this will help. Uh, Today, I believe we'll learn something new today. And if you have any questions, just leave them in the chat. So Donatas, you can start.
Okay, thank you, Emilis, for introduction. And I will a bit elaborate more about myself. You know, as people like to say, what are the reasons why should we believe in what you are saying? So the fact is that I've been in startup marketing and startup development for years. I'm actually the author of Startup Evolution Curve, the book that eventually became one of top 5 best-selling books on Amazon in startup category. And, you know, this book is written not just on my own thoughts or my own experience, but based on global research of more than 1,000 startups. I had nearly 500 in-depth interviews with startup founders who achieved certain success or made major failures in order for us not to do the same failures, the same mistakes. And so far, I've mentored 28 startups. I've been invited to speak in different events, and a few articles were featured on such media outlets like Forbes and in some Lithuanian business news and journals, and etc., etc. So here is this very brief, short slide showing how this book ended up. So if you see in the first place, Elon Musk, it's the top 100 best-selling books on Amazon in business technology innovation. So there was only one guy whom I couldn't beat up, you know, and replace him. So it was Elon Musk. Sorry, yeah, I tried as hard as I could, but yeah, I didn't manage to become the #1 product owner on Amazon in this category. But there were many reviews from different countries about the book, about the methodology in the book. And I have to credit all these knowledges and all these experiences for startups who already went through the road that I'm here with you to share. And as a matter of fact, well, this book helped me to get featured on Forbes, a few articles on it, and even one evening, I got an email from Al Barleby, who says that, hey, you know, our professor in California State University is using your book as a course book, as a textbook for MBA students, teaching a new class called Technology and Startups. So, yeah, I know a thing or two about startups and why it is, well, another one, yeah, in fact, not to boost, not to brag about myself, but here is a non-profit organization, globalgurus.org, and they announced World's Top 30 Gurus for Startups each year in 2020. And somehow I ended up being among those top 30 gurus for startups in 2020. So yeah, you could find myself among Steve Blank, Pat Flynn, Gary Vaynerchuk, and those amazing guys who do, you know, significant work in startup development arena. So today's your lecture, today's host of this workshop is also on that list. So the whole methodology and all these principles that we're going to talk with you today about how to prepare the pitch for investors is based on longitudinal research and on the research of a large scale. More than 1,000 startups answered the survey. They were qualified for that, additional interviews done for that. Startups who participated in this research were from all over the world. It was not my goal to cover the whole, you know, world to make a 100% representative research results, like what's the startup ecosystem in the world. No, but I just ended up that being here in Lithuania initiated this research about startup development, which ended up, you know, all over the world, all over the place. That's that's said about that, let's move on to our today's topic. And today I'm going to share with you 10 slides that can help to charm investors. Uh, you are now participating in Hackathon, and as far as I know, maybe you are not looking for investors right now for a current solution, but if you have developed or if you are still working on idea or already on a project or MVP, this might actually help you to look a bit further in advance what you need to achieve even before you try to knock at an investor's door. So what has to be prepared for you to look like, an amazing object for investment and to cause that so-called FOMO, fear of missing out of the opportunity. How to make your startup such an amazing thing for investors that investors would be afraid of losing a chance to invest in your startup. So today we're going to cover all these 10 top slides. And if you have any questions, I would be more than glad, more than happy to answer them. My suggestion is to write your questions in the chat. And Emilis, if you could see the chart while I'll present all the material, you could turn on your mic and say, hey, Donatas, we have a bunch of questions. Maybe you could address these, and I will do that. If there are, if there are not many questions in the chat, I will address all of them, right after the presentation. And if there is something really, really important you want to ask, just turn on your mic and say, hey, Donatas, could I ask a question? Not just typing, just simply saying, we here are all simple people and I'm here to communicate with you to help you. So what are these 10 slides? First, the order of these slides can be different, but every wise investor, every smart investor who's investing in startup is looking for these particular answers. So you have to address, well, your solution, the problem for which your solution is designed, who is the target audience, who is the customer, who's going to buy, who's going to use the solution, what's your user acquisition strategy, how you're going to attract these customers to buy your product, what's the scope of the competition, whom you are competing with, eventually, how you're going to earn money, your monetization or revenue generating strategy, what's your current traction. We will dive deeper into each of these slides, with good examples and bad examples. But the key thing here is that only few investors are willing to put their money at stake if you haven't showed any traction at all, because it's like investing just in an idea, just in a thin air. And we're going to talk about what traction points, what could serve as a proof that your startup idea already is not just an idea, but you have some traction right now. And finally, your team structure, why you have the super team and why should you succeed? Well, what are your next plans? What do you plan to do? And investment proposal, or sometimes this slide is called just ask. What are you asking? Are you looking for 100K? Are you looking for 1 million? And what you're going to offer back to these investors, how much equity you are ready to give away, and for what purposes you are planning to use these funds that you are trying to get from investors. So let's dive deep into each of these slides. The first one, it's not like a rule of thumb that you necessarily have to start with a solution. You can start stating the problem and then providing the solution. But for most investors, it's quite usual to see, okay, this startup is about providing this solution. Okay, and then that checking a bit deeper for what problem this solution is the best possible way. So let's think plain simply. Solution should look like your elevator pitch, a very brief description of the product, what you do, and for what it is designed. Why you can't elaborate too much on your solution? Because most investors are normal people and they will spend on average about 10 seconds to make a decision whether it's interesting for them or not. And later on, you will have 30 more seconds to prove that your solution is worth of something and that you are, the best possible team, you already have some traction points, and that it is very interesting for investor to listen to what you are about to share. So solution has to be, short and sweet to pique the interest of potential investor, but don't use these overhyped words, disrupting innovation and all blah, blah, blah. No, be as precise as possible, but to grab the attention. So here's the bad example. We built a disruptive app in a transport industry. Okay, what is a disruptive app? What does this app do, and in what kind of transport industry? It's not clear about what this solution is. And for investors, for those who are already seasoned in investing in startups, such solution description might be already a small red flag that this startup might not know what they are doing in the world and might skip you as a potential investment opportunity. A good example from Uber, we help individuals get from point A to Z with a simple ride-sharing app. It doesn't answer all possible questions, but it gives pretty decent impression on what this app does. And you see, there are no buzzwords like disrupting, like innovation, or all that, yada, yada, yada things. No, very, very simple. And in one of the events, it was actually mentioned an updated version of Uber's presentation. They said that we help individuals to get from A to Z with a simple ride-sharing app with single click of a button. That's it. That's it. What our app does. Slack, quite good example. We help businesses communicate with a simple chat interface. Later on, they elaborate on how they change all these email follow-ups, all these chunks in your inbox, and explain why the solution is better. But generally, it's quite clear what Slack does, at least rough impression about the solution. If you would use this example from Amazon for your case, it might be, too vague in our case. But for Amazon, at that time, it was good enough. They said, we help people buy and sell things online. Okay, why now it's not the best possible solution? Because this solution now doesn't provide any differentiation point. It doesn't help to identify why, this e-commerce store is different from other e-commerce stores. So if you will try to build your solution slide, try to encode in it your differentiation point. Try to explain how your solution is different. You don't need to answer all possible questions, but you have to pick the interest of potential investor, why you are different, why you might be the next success story. So the formula for your solution description can be as simple as that. We help X achieve Y, where X stands for your target customers achieve Y, the result, the outcome that your target audience wants. So we help our target customers to achieve the result they are willing to get. That's plain simple. The second slide is dedicated to the problem. What problem do you solve, and are you sure? Do you have proofs that this problem exists not only in your mind, but in the real market? Building a startup always is about solving problems, not just chasing ideas or building some fancy innovative stuff, gadgets, or writing the code. No, you have to solve problems that people are willing to pay for solutions to that problem. If there is a problem, but it's not significant enough and nobody's willing to pay for a solution to this problem, this might be a very serious signal for you that you shouldn't be wasting your time here. So until you found a problem that is worth solving, that somebody is paying for the solution, then it's good to go. So what's your problem you're trying to address, and how much does it cost to solve the problem with currently available solutions today? And well, bad example. Travelers need alternative ways of accommodation. Why? How do you know that travelers need? There was a booking comment that time, and why? Why should we need another one way of accommodation? It's a vague statement, and it doesn't describe precisely if the problem exists at all. And here is a good example from Airbnb. Statistics confirm that 85% of travelers in the US care about accommodation costs. Moreover, 30% claim that staying in a hotel prevents from meeting locals and experiencing local culture. Solution: we offer a web application that allows locals to host travelers at a better price than hotels, and both to save and make money. So you see, in this problem description, we already have exact numbers. This is based on statistics. This provides proof that problem actually exists. 85% of travelers care about cost. Is it difficult to find statistics? No, you can do that easily. And you should do. You should back up your problem statement, trying to prove based on what you think this is a serious problem. Try to be as specific as possible, and always try to give numbers, because statement without fact, without number is just an assumption. So you need to have numbers right here. Target audience. Where is your market geographically, and who is your customer? Try to think very simple in this case. If somebody would ask you, okay, if you could describe me your ideal customer, I would try to get you. So tell me, who is your customer? And never tell that everybody or anybody is our target customer. No. The more you know about your customer, the better it is for your business, because you know how to attract these customers, you know how to tailor your ads, how to tailor your sales process. And if an investor sees that, let's say you are very good at technical level, you have solution maybe already built, but if you don't know who your customer is, if you don't have traction, if you don't have sales in that, or at least pre-sales or some demo bookings, you will be in a big trouble, unless this investor is a rookie one and doesn't care about financial success of your startup. So try to identify who your ideal customer is. Bad example, our customers are mobile phone users. Well, literally it says everybody is our customer. You know, come on. Almost everybody on the planet, except maybe a few people, you know, in less developed countries, don't have mobile phones, or some children don't have phones. So it doesn't answer who our target customer is. And here is how specifically Uber determined who is their ideal customer. Our customers are living in big cities in US, often commute between 2 to 10 miles, white collars, lonely, or in a relationship, mostly no kids, age 25-40. There are currently 50 million potential users of our services in the United States alone, with an annual market turnover of $2 billion. In this slide, in these two sentences, the company addressed two very important issues. They explained who is their target customer, and they already showed their market size in terms of number of users, 50 million users, and in terms of dollars, in terms of possible cash flow, $2 billion. It doesn't mean that Uber will earn $2 billion. No, it's probably impossible for anybody to capture the whole market size. But for investor, it's a good indicator that this startup has done their homework and they know where this startup is going to. So try to be as specific again as in problem, as well as in describing your target audience. In some cases, it's very important to describe age, gender. Sometimes it's even more important to describe lifestyle. And where do they work? What are their insights? What are their interests? And how do they spend their free time? If you are in B2B market, if you provide your solution to businesses, you know, like business to business, target audience segmentation criteria will be different. We could have the whole lecture about how to define your target customer. But when you come to this slide, try to think very simple. If somebody would have a magic wand and would say, hey, describe me one person or one company, which is your ideal customer, and I will make this person or company become your customer. So tell me, who is that? And imagine, you know, that bad genie who always tries to provide you not what you're looking for, but some kind of like a bad thing to you. But this bad thing still meets your initial criteria. So be as specific as possible, describing your target customer. Slide number 4, how are you going to get these customers? How will you search for your users, and how you will make sure that your message reaches them, and well, you will have a decent chance for sales. So an effective user acquisition strategy is like a holy grail for every marketer, because everyone wants to get a consistent machine how you're gonna attract new customers. And believe me, it's not easy to do. Actually, last week I had a call with my consultants. Actually, I also attend training sessions. I also try to get more qualification in my area, and I consult with marketers from US. And they said, "Hey, Donatas, this is why your course is not selling very good at this price point. This is why you can't get customers." I said, "Okay, give me some data," and they provided me. There is a company in the market who is trying to sell the online course at the price of $27. So the product online course price point $27, and this company is investing from $200 to $300 to get one customer. You would probably say insane. How this business can be viable, because they invest $200 to earn $27. So they are minus $180 at least. They're losing $180 with each customer. How it's possible? It's possible because of more advanced marketing techniques, building marketing funnels, and earning your revenue based on future sales, based on additional sales. But you here as a startup have to show the way that you found it, that you know how to attract customers. If you will try to say to investor, "Hey, our product costs $27 and we are ready to invest $200 to attract customer," guess what are your chances to get funded? Not big chances. But if you would say that, "Yep, we know how to do that. We know how to attract customer for less than $27, or how to attract customer even for $200, but we know how to make $300 out of this customer, even if our product is priced only $27. Maybe you will sell a lifetime membership plan. Maybe you will sell yearly subscription, or whatever it is. It's up to you, but you have to prove that you have a strategy, a working strategy, how to attract your target customers." And there's kind of rule, a non-official one, probably you won't find in any book about that written, but user acquisition costs has to be very low at this point when you are starting, and should break even during the first 6 to 18 months. So in half a year, up to 1.5 years, or simply it won't work, because life is changing too rapidly, and investors want to see that you won't burn their money just for making some, ad experiments without knowing what are you doing. Think about how you're going to get your customers and try to prove that in slide number 4. Bad example. We will make
Donatas,
Yep.
Donatas,
Yep.
Hayden has a question. When it comes to reaching critical mass users, how do you know what number of users you should aim for the network effect to take hold?
Okay, let me check if it is this question written.
The last question
Yeah,
in the
I
chat.
see. Okay, when it comes to reaching critical mass users, how do you know what number of users you should aim for the network effect to take hold? Really good question. The solution might be piggyback strategy, if you can make this happen. And for exact numbers, I can't tell you in advance. You need to think about the MVP scope. What is the minimal possible value that your customers adore? Then you need to calculate back how many users do you need right there. And let me share an example. I'm also a startup founder. I'm building the Winavin, the marketing partnership network. So it's actually a network, and I also depend on network effect. If there are only 2 users, what are chances that they will build partnership? Not too much chances. So what I am doing, I'm looking for the way how to make this platform as useful as a standalone tool for users to register. Can you make your network to deliver some value, at least in the initial stage, until you don't have that critical mass to provide the network effect? Is it possible? Sometimes yes, sometimes not. Another thing is, think about your value proposition. If you can provide value right at the bat, even without the network effect, think about how to provide this value that for customers, it still would be interesting. So what I'm saying to my potential customers, for my potential users of the platform, yeah, we are still in beta mode, in beta MVP mode. We are still developing it. We are building on the machine learning, some algorithms, how to make these best matches, how to suggest customer description tags, all that technical yada yada things. But I say, hey, now you can set up your account in less than 5 minutes. And once there is a perfect match, you will get it into your email. You don't need to log into the network each day and check it and browse it. You don't need to spend any more time. Only 5 minutes. That's it. And okay, yeah, you said just question, Johnny. Oh, so it's another one question. So that's how I try to attract users to the platform when still there is no network effect. And what we are planning to do, finish the others first, sir. Okay. And what we are planning to do, we plan to introduce the network effect only at that stage when we're gonna have critical mass. I don't know whether this will be at 1,000 users or at 10,000 users. I don't know. It will depend on what type of users we will onboard first. Does it make sense? You don't unlock the network effect until you have something to deliver. Because if you do that too early, people will get disappointed and they forget about you. They will say, hey, this is not worth it. It's not just worth it. But when you say, hey, register, secure your spot, you can show to potential investors, hey, we have some traction. It's not paid traction, but at least people are interested in our value proposition. We get 5 users, 50 users, 500 users per day registered to the platform. And once you see there's a critical match to provide some network effect, like in our case is to build some marketing partnerships, we will do that. We will open the platform and say, hey, we are already out of beta mode. Now it's officially launched and here are your matches. And every other user who will join the platform, they will already be benefiting from the network effect. Yeah, so that's the point. If you wish, we can take this discussion longer after the presentation. Okay, Johnny, okay, you said early attraction is needed before a solid pitch. While I agree, this is hard to measure. How much is enough traction, or how does measure when they have enough traction? About the traction, you see, there are different types of investors, and these investors have set their own rules. For instance, one of the VC fund in Lithuania, they said, okay, Donatas, you are working with different startups. And if you see a startup meeting such criteria, industry specific criteria, some criteria related to the number of co-founders, et cetera, they said, we are interested only in those startups who have at least 5,000 euros monthly recurring revenue. So this is the traction point for them. If you don't have 5,000, no, that's not interesting. And if we are talking about angel investors, yeah, you still can get investment, especially in LITBAN, Lithuanian Angel Investors Network, if you don't have sales numbers yet, but you have at least number of registered users, or at least number of those customers who are willing to become your beta users. But there has to be some kind of intent. One time I had a chance to work with a startup from Spain in B2B market who succeeded to prove traction just by showing 3 protocols of intentions. It was like B2B, they were providing the solution for factory and engineers, how to collaborate engineers in different factories regarding the maintenance of the equipment. And Carlos asked me, how can I prove traction to potential investors? We are still building this platform and how to do that? I said, can you go to a few factories, make the demo, at least PowerPoint presentation, how your app, how your solution gonna look like, and try to sign the protocol of intention with that company. It's not a hard contract that they will buy your product at this price and no questions asked. No, this protocol of intention says we company plan to purchase your solution at the price of 10,000 euros, 1,000 euros. If you build it till the date, August, September, December, whatever it is, but we have a reserved chance not to buy it, a reserved opportunity not to buy it or whatever, whatever. But it's our best intent because this solution could solve our problem and we are ready to do that. Okay, so let's get to back to the presentation, and I will address all remaining questions at the end. And if there are urgent questions, Emilis, just let me know about them. So user acquisition strategy, bad case, we will make ads on social media. You know, any dumb person can do that. Anyone could burn money on media, but will it bring you some traffic? And will this traffic convert into leads, potential customers who give you contact details, and to actual customers who are paying you money, who are taking their purse out of the pocket and, you know, putting bucks on the table? Okay. Much better example. Our copywriter will write articles about photography and picture editing solutions for photography and fashion lover websites, where we will describe our products to users and offer free trials. User acquisition cost will be 5 euro cents. You know, it's unbelievably low. Well, this is an old example. So today, if you would get 50 cents, it would be amazing. And we are planning to target 50,000 users with this channel. You see how specific this one is. And then investor could ask, are you sure you will manage to get this at 5 cents? How do you know you will manage it? If the startup could show the agreement, even if it's just an email communication, that are you ready to promote our posts on your blog? Yes, we are ready to promote. You will pay us, you know, 500 bucks. And our blog reach is like 10,000 or whatever the number is of users, of readers. You simply can divide the amount you're trying to spend by the number of users who are gonna see that blog post. That's it. Try to be as specific and try to provide measurable numbers. Okay, where are your users? How are you gonna reach them? And how much it will cost you to get one customer. It's not enough to know who your customer is, where you can find them, through what channel you will attract them, but how much it will cost you. And I can share my personal example. We did one of the first market tests last year in spring. Yeah, so it was a year ago. And I wanted to onboard beta users to the platform that I already mentioned you. And I found numbers. Well, I actually run multiple ads on Facebook, and I saw that I've spent hundreds of euros, and it costs me 16 euros on average to get one free user on the platform. It's insane. It's too expensive. At that time, I stopped experiment. I had 50, 60, something like that users onboarded, but that's it. I used these users to beta test some initial stages of the prototype, but I saw that it's not a viable way, because at the end, we won't make profit if we will be acquiring users at this price. So what I'm actually doing now, I'm running another one experiment today. I'm selling the online course for 49 bucks, and I give credits, $100 credits on the platform that I am building. So it's like a really interesting, a really good deal for target customers. Hey, I'm purchasing the course, but they get 2 times more than I've spent on that specific platform. How to get, partners to promote my business through marketing partnerships. This sounds cool. Now I see that still I might not fit in 49 bucks. Maybe I will have to pay on average $70 or $80 to get this user. So it's still probably not the viable way. I have another one experiment prepared to attract high ticket customers to pre-sell at about $1,000, a lifetime membership, a pro account membership for lifetime. But this is like the next level experiment. Why I'm sharing this? We need to know how much it will cost us to get our target customer. It's not enough to know, hey, customers will love our product and we're going to reach them through these channels. No, how much will it cost you? Competition. You are not starting, in a thin air. Competition always exists. So I've never met a startup who didn't have a competition. It's just sometimes the point of paradigm you're looking through. Even the old way of solving the same problem is your competitor. Why? Because they are solving this problem, or they are simply even ignoring the problem it is also your competitor. So try to ask yourself a question: how people, how users right now are solving the same problem for which you've built the solution, for which you are building the solution. And these might be your direct competitors who build the same software, who build the same app or whatever it is, or even the old school ways. Even, CRM company could say, hey, our competitors are other CRMs. No, even the Excel file, even the Google Sheets is your competitor, because you can track your communication with potential customers in the Google spreadsheet. That's your indirect competitor. So you need to show that thing. Bad example, with buzzwords, we are a disruptive service with a user-friendly interface. It says nothing about what the hell this disruptive service is and what the user-friendly interface means. Maybe it's user-friendly for you, but not for your customers. The best thing and the most usual way for investors to see you aligned with your competitors, you simply make the list of features, functions, or benefits that your solution provides and your competitors provide, and you align yourself with competitors, whether it's like, like a category, in this case, hardware, or other software, it's a category, or you could put exact names of competitors. It depends on your situation. And what you just need to ensure that you have all the ticks in your column, that you provide all, all or at least the most value points from these, benefits feature lists for target customers. Monetization, how you will earn money. It's important aspect, and what we have to know here. There are two general types of startups. One is scalable startup. Another one is viable startup. Also, viable startups can be scalable startups, but there are two different purposes why startups are built and what investors are looking for. In most cases, if we are talking about viable startup, it means investor and you see your startup as a product. You will earn your money, you will get your cash, you will get your, your return on investment of time, of money, when you sell your company, when you sell your startup. You are building something great, and you will sell this to one of major players in the market because you've developed, maybe you've developed a significant technical solution, and for major players in the market, it might be a better sense, to buy you instead of build their own technical solution. Or maybe you've built the database, the network of users, especially if somebody mentioned like creating the network effect value. So you have large network, maybe some key players in the market will be willing to buy you. So in this case, if you are building just a viable startup and you think that you will earn in the long run when you sell your company, and you don't want to have a necessity to be profitable right at the bat, well, monetization might not be the top priority. You might agree to lose some money at the beginning, but all these startups to whom I've talked to, they said in unison, all of them said, it's better to have some monetization already, because cash flow provides you the possibility to breathe and to do more experiments. So always try to think how you're going to earn money, even if your ultimate purpose is to build amazing startup and sell it for $10 million or for $1 billion, whatever, it's up to you. But think about how you're going to earn money. Bad example, we are going to monetize via advertisements in our app. It says nothing except that you don't have any fantasy. Because if you want to achieve significant revenue streams through monetization, you must have a large channel. You must have a possibility to reach large audience, to reach so many eyeballs that you would be interesting for somebody to advertise to. Otherwise, it simply doesn't make sense. It's not viable. Much better example, Snapchat. Our customers pay 10 euros for each 100 points on our app. Okay, people are buying some kind of points over there. Cool. In 3 months' time, we will introduce additional service allowing our users premium features for $5 a month subscription. 20% of our users are already paying customers. So Any investor right now can make some math and can think, okay, I know who are your target customers. You already told me how much it costs you to get one customer. Let's say it costs you 12, not 12, 20 bucks, 20 bucks. So I see, okay, if you introduce €5 per month subscription fee, so it's just 4 months and you're gonna earn profit from that user. Okay, only 20% of them are paying customers right now. So let's multiply this amount by 5, okay, in 20 months. But maybe you will be able to get a higher conversion from users to paying customers, maybe. But every investor now with these numbers have something they can touch, their thoughts on, and to think, is it significantly significant for me to invest and expect a certain ROI from your company or not? Or I'm just, playing the game with a startup, investing it like putting the bet in casino and hoping that you will win, that you will build something. In this case, you provide them numbers to make rationalized decision. Another one example for monetization, well, the same Snapchat, you can have more than 2 ways of monetization, like in this case. And Snapchat says, okay, premium subscriptions plus advertisement. Our customer pays 100,000 euros to show their ad to our users through our application for 1 day, Christmas, Halloween, or etc. Like a super exclusive channel to get exposure. Maybe you can do that. Maybe you can find another way of monetization. So if you show and if you prove to investors that you have at least one monetization that is already working, you will have a huge plus for your startup. If you show a couple of monetizations, cool. Don't spread yourself too thin thinking about too many monetization options. 1 or 2 is okay, it's cool. Okay, investors are willing to know how many users are ready to pay, how much they are willing to pay, how much are they already paying. You can say me anything. And how do you know they are willing to pay? No, show me the numbers. And if you can show me that in like Snapchat's case, that 20% of people are already paying, cool, I know that. Another question is, can they pay more? And for what? For what they could pay more? Today, I had one consultation with a startup from insurance industry, large one company. They are going for a Series A fundraising process. And they see that customers might pay more, but this software needs to develop additional features. If they develop certain features, customers would be willing to pay more because these new features would solve additional problems. And this makes perfect sense to go to investors to say, hey, we are doing quite great. We are not negative in the cash flow, we are positive, but we want to earn more. Our customers are ready to pay more, but we need to build these features. We need to build this stuff. That's why we're looking for investment. If you want, you can come on board and we can roll with the ship of our product to the market faster with your investment. Slide number 7, traction. So what is your current stage, not in terms of just development of the product, how much code lines you have written, but how successful so far you are already in the market. And well, it's not like a rule of thumb that you need to have at least 10,000 users. No, it's like for B2C market, business to consumer market, and it strongly depends on industry. As I said, Carlos in Spain, he got funded only having 3 protocols of intentions. It was enough to prove traction because these companies were serious enough, and investors had a chance to talk to these companies and to validate that it's not a scam. And these companies are willing to acquire the solution that Carlos' startup will build. That example, we are developing a website and seeking for investment. What's the traction? What's your stage? How many users do you have? How far are you from launching into the market? And how much investment you're looking for, and why? For what are you looking at investment? Just to buy some burgers and cola? No, you've gotta show me more about that. And here's a good example of traction. First, we have developed a beta version app and launched it on the Apple Store. An investor can go and check it, whether it's real or not, and how good is this app. We have 300 downloads this week. traction numbers, 300 downloads, nothing says about payment, but okay, 300 visitors. The number of downloads grows 100% every week. We had 50 paying customers in 2 weeks after app was launched. Wow, huge success. Even you see number is quite small, only 50 users. Maybe I've invited all of my friends to become paying users in this week. And, it's like cheating the system. But in this case, it looks okay, quite reasonable. So if we are going to talk about the investment, it will take some time. And I will put my eye on your numbers. So are they growing in this rate or not? So if it's not growing, it might have been scam, fake, whatever. But if you are getting, 50, 100, 200 visitors every 2 weeks, cool. You already have a traction point right here. And the last one example, we have scheduled meetings with 10 potential partners, and 3 partners have already signed partnership agreements. Cool. Whether these are partners for distributing your product, your app, your software, or are these partners, I don't know, for any other purpose. But traction in most of the cases means that you have customers, that you have at least users. The difference between user and customer is that user is that person who actually uses it. Customer is this person or company who pays for your solution. So sometimes, usually it is the same, the user is the customer, but sometimes you can have users who are not paying. Like we are using Google for search, but Google AdWords customers are paying for the product. Those who want to advertise on Google, they are paying for that. When thinking about your traction slide, try to present what is your current stage in terms of actual achievements in the market. So what you have achieved so far, not just how many code lines you have written, but in the market. How many users do you have? How many of them are paying users? And what have you done to attract your customers? Have you already depleted all the chances to attract customers and don't have any ideas what you're going to do next? Or, like I said, an example from my own case. Okay, I did this experiment, not good. I did another one experiment, still not good, but I have numbers. I can prove you that it works. I'm already now working on the third experiment, how I'm going to attract, high ticket clients. I don't know if I succeed or not, but I will run experiment and I will see. I will invest, okay, $500 or maybe $1,000, and I will see if I can land 1 or 2 high ticket customers. That's it. Do the same in your startup case. Slide number 8. Well, it becomes easier with that slide because, well, who are you and why potential investors should trust in you? So it's time when you need to show your face, and you need to show that investor is not putting his or her money in the product. They are putting their money in the team. That's important to understand. I haven't met the investor in a startup ecosystem who is willing to invest in the product. That, yeah, I'm gonna take the code, I'm gonna take this hardware because I'm investing in it. No, all of these investors, I can't guarantee that all of them, but at least most of them, they think, I don't want an additional headache. I want to invest in a team that is capable to deliver the solution. And the real practice is that, there are a few major roadblocks in team slide. If investor sees that all your team members are really super cool in tech development, you are all developers, coders, all those nitty-gritty details in technical area, but if you have no track record in business development, investor will see, yeah, this is going to be a headache for me. I will need to hire a CEO, I will need to hire, or the startup will need to hire another one person who's going to take sales and marketing and all that business development stuff. So the good thing that investors appreciate is that you have some team members who cover technical aspects, and other team members, they don't need to be co-founders, but still you need to have team members who will cover business development aspect. So bad example.
Sorry, Donatas.
Yeah.
May I ask you to answer 2 questions from the chat?
Okay.
One from Ellie and another one from Hayden.
Okay, I'm checking in. Ellie Kasik, what you have done to attract customers is not the user acquisition strategy. Yes and no. What you have done to attract customers, it's kind of strategy, but you need to show if it works or not. For instance, if we are building a networking platform, I can go to LinkedIn and say, hey, Ellie, hi, John, hi, Anna, just go and check what I'm building on. I would appreciate your feedback. So I would onboard, users. Maybe a few of them would become customers, but the resource of my LinkedIn connections will be depleted. Even though I have 19,000 connections on LinkedIn, but still it's a very limited resource. So what you have done to attract customers, it's not always the user acquisition strategy. And investors always are looking for scalable growth strategies. What's your way to attract new customers? And I'm not sure, but I guess Sean Ellis wrote in his book that when you want to define your growth engine, when you want to show, to discover your your customer acquisition strategy, first of all, you write down all possible ways how you can attract customers. Everything what is possible in the world today to attract customers. Then you take another one list and you pick from the first list only those options that are probable, that it has a chance to work in your case, which is more or most realistic. And in the third page, you write down only those that actually work, that you've tested and that it actually works. So investors are looking for user acquisition strategies from your third list, what actually works. In the initial stage, well, I've tried what's possible, what's probable, I've been there, done that, but maybe didn't have the actual result. Okay, when creating a pitch deck, what are some things that are often missing that investors would like to see? Okay, if you would cover all these 10 slides, Hayden, most questions to investors will be answered. And remember, at this point, you have only 3 minutes. It's not just the syntropy limitation, but it's a usual standard. Sometimes you can have 2 minutes, sometimes you can have 4 minutes. Very rarely I have seen the limitation of 5 minutes. So you have on average 3 minutes to grab the attention of potential investor, to pitch all key facts about your startup. And then if the investor is interested, they will ask you questions, you will tell about that. In most cases, startups who are seriously preparing for fundraising, they prepare additional documentation, which covers such things like financial statements, your investment plans, results from your marketing experiments to prove, how you attracted your customers, some insights from customer interviews, etc., etc. But this is not for the pitch deck. It's just like an additional material. And that's why at the final slide, when you say, hey, this is what we are looking for this amount of money to be funded to our startup. And now we are open for a discussion. We are open for questions. That's it. You are free to answer that. Okay, let's move on next. So what's bad example? When you say we are a team of professionals that includes 3 developers, 2 designers, 1 business developer, and CEO. It shows no track record of these developers and these designers. And, are you a business developer just, dropped out from the university, or do you have 10 years of experience in building 2 or 5 successful businesses, worldwide companies? It says nothing about your experience and your track record. This is really good example. And you show faces. These photos are congruent, similar style, not just, like from Facebook and from parties taken, but really professional ones, names, surnames, and each role of each co-founder or each team member. And you should highlight what is the most important, what is the strongest point of your team. So in this case, our founder, John Brewer, started his first business at the age of 16. During the last 3 years, he performed as a country manager CEO at Uber Italy, where he successfully increased the turnover of the company 2-fold. Wow. This person is young, ambitious, made actual results at Uber. Uber trusted him, he delivered results. Cool. Probably I can trust him also. That's it. If you are strong in tech development, emphasize that thing. That's it. Okay. Slide number 9. We are coming to an end. What's next? Okay, you showed what's your solution to what problem, who's your customer, how you're going to attract these customers, how much it will cost you. Okay, what's your, what's on your team board. Okay, who's there, but what are you planning to do? Show us that you have a plan. Don't go, never go to investors saying, hey, we are looking for €1 million or dollars. What you gonna do? I don't know. When we get 1 million, then we will think about how we can spend it. No, you need to have all these clear stages. These stages don't necessarily have to be attached to strict deadlines. It's not a product release plan, it's product roadmap. This product roadmap can change based on conditions, based on, different environmental factors, but at least you need to have the plan. And well, bad example. We are planning to finish the product development and enter the US market. What the hell it means finish product development? What features will be built? What is the product? And enter the US market. So how will you count? If you have one sale in US market, so have you already entered US market? Technically, legally, yeah, because you made a sale, you are already in the market. But is it, is it satisfactory for any investor that you had only one sale in US market? Obviously, no. So be as specific as possible again. So here is a much better example. Our plans: launch the mobile app in 3 months. It's like tied to the development. Develop the AI for delivery service. Again, development roadmap. Attract 100,000 new users to our app, and 20% of them will be paying customers. This is related to marketing and sales. And the final one, make 10 new partnerships with industry players, business development. So now investor has, a grasp on, okay, what are you going to try to reach within the next few months? And try to think about milestones that you could do after the investment. And the best pitches that I've seen were those that had 2 options. The first option is, okay, we're raising for, let's say, for sake of example, 1 million. We are raising for 1 million, and here are our milestones. If we get funded 1 million, this is what we're going to do. This is our plan for half a year, for a year, and etc., etc. But guys, dear investors, if you're not ready to invest 1 million, or if we won't succeed to invest 1 million, our plan B is to get 200K. And these are milestones that we're going to achieve with 200K. Yep, our process will be slower. We won't build all these features right at the bat, but still we will be developing it. So investors will see that, damn, these guys have an option. And these guys are smart enough because they're not just raising money for the sake to get funded to pay their own salaries. No, these guys are developing the business and they know how to do that. Okay. Final slide.
Stop you first for a second. Hayden has a question.
Yeah, sure. Ask. Okay. Is this your question? As a first-time founder, is a startup accelerator a good move? Any experience or thoughts with those, like Y Combinator or 500 startups? Well, to answer this question, I should say definitely yes, but it depends on the accelerator and what's included in the acceleration program. Last year, I helped to develop 3 pre-acceleration programs here in Lithuania. I'm the co-author of these pre-acceleration programs, and these are very different. Well, one accelerator doesn't take any equity from you, and it's free, and etc. All of them are actually free, but one accelerator has very strong competition to get there, but they provide mentorship to you. But still, it's not a strong background for a startup who already made few steps in building startup. It's the pre-acceleration. If we are talking about the acceleration, you should think about the acceleration once you found the product market fit. When you have proofs that your product, that your solution has some traction in the market, at least some promising traction numbers right there, then you should focus on these accelerations that will help you to scale your startup, to enter the market globally. As regarding the Y Combinator of 500 startups, it's difficult to get there. It depends on conditions, how much equity you will have to give away and what you're going to get into that. In Baltic states, I bet I won't mention the name of the accelerator, but they had the rule of thumb that they invest 20,000 euros in a startup for a certain percentage of equity, but they won't pay out this amount of money in cash. They will cover some expenditures of your startup development. For instance, if you are building some hardware, they can rent you equipment, they can buy you equipment, they can buy you material, but that's it. And if you want to get sales moved on, they won't do sales for you. They can train you to do some sales, but you will have to do that on your own, or you will have to hire your team. So if you are totally rookie in building a startup, but you are good at building your product, I would definitely advise to join, first of all, free pre-acceleration programs. There are multiple of those, and you could get at least some methodology, some practical tips, tricks, advices from them. Actually, I don't want to promote like myself, but at the end, I will give an offer to you. I'm the author of startup course on Udemy that is at the moment highest rated for 2 months already. And for, I don't know, 12 bucks, 14 bucks, you could get the whole content of quite decent pre-acceleration program. That's it. And you are your own boss. Okay, let's move on. If it's still requires discussion, we will get back at the end of our presentation. So the last slide, investment proposal or your ask. What are you looking for? So it's not enough to know what, that cash is king and the more we get, the better it is. No, you need to show how you're going to spend it, and to show that you know how to save money, and still push your startup forward at a rapid pace without a huge cash burn. Any CEO can employ additional team members, additional sales members, and hope for the best. You need to prove to investors that you won't burn their money. And one of the red flags is that if you go to investor and say, hey, we need 100K, and let's say half of it or even more of it we will spend on salary, and we as co-founders are main employees of the company. It means we are looking for dear investors to pay us a salary. Sorry for expression, this is bullshit. I know that some investors actually have a limitation that not all investors, that as a co-founder, you can't take salary from your company. Some investors actually do that. Other investors say that we invest, but no more than 30% can go to co-founders as a salary. That's their own criteria. And bad example, we are looking for 1 million. Could you spare us a 1 million? No, this is absolutely insane example of the slide what you're looking for. Far better, much better is we are looking for 1 million for 10% equity from the fund operating in the energy industry. If you see, they explain not only that they want to get 1 million, but what you're going to get, what they are ready to give. They are giving away 10% equity. It means that this startup is evaluating itself at a level of 10 million. It means that this startup is worth 10 million, at least based on their estimations. And they're looking not for money from anybody. They're looking for the fund which is operating in the energy industry. So probably this startup is building some innovation in energy sector. And then founders explain the investment will be spent on further product development, 60%, and marketing, 40%. We plan to reach 10 million turnover in 2 years and offer the investor exit. Possible buyers, Tesla, Samsung. It's important to show that you have a strategy how the investor will get back their money. If you can show that, you leave this guesswork for investors. And if there are more gaps in your presentation, in your pitch deck, these investors will say, there are better opportunities in the market. We don't want to think too much about that. But if you would say, hey, these two companies, these three companies might purchase, might acquire us as a company once we reach 10 million turnover, or once we reach the threshold of 1 million users, active users, or whatever it is, every investor say, okay, how can we do that? How can we reach 10 million turnover or 1 million active subscribers, active members? That's it. So investment proposal, how are you going to spend investment? How is it going to help you grow, not just build a product, but how to grow as a business? How much equity are you going to give? Explain the return investors can hope for. So will it be a Bible startup, or will you start earning a positive cash flow at some day? And numbers are extremely, super extremely important here. As I mentioned before, you don't need to address all these numbers right here, but you say, hey, if you're interested to get into more details, into more numbers, we have our financial statements prepared. Let's set the date and time for meeting, and we will show you everything what you are interested in. That's it. So just a short recap. Solution, the problem, target audience, user acquisition strategy, competition, monetization, traction, team, what's next, or like what your roadmaps, and your investment proposal, or so-called ask slide. So I'm here ready for your questions, and this is a very short offer. If you want to know more about building your startup, I've actually created the course, which is about 14 hours length with multiple downloadable templates, tools. It's on Udemy. With a code, with a special code, Syntropy Hack, you could get this course for $12.99. If Udemy suggests you even more discounted price, it's good for you. But at any time for a month, this code will be active. If you liked this presentation, you could get more about that stuff on Udemy. So let's move on to your questions.
So we had one question earlier. Johnny asked, does your book include bad versus good examples as well? Because it's a good, he likes that style of learning. I think he considers buying your book, so this is why he's asking.
Okay, you can buy the book from Amazon, or you can wait when there will be the countdown deal promo, but it will be in 2 or 3 months. You could get this book maybe for $1 or something like that. You can, just wait for sell off of that stuff on Amazon. But yes, I provide good and bad examples, but not for every case, but only in this case when I found these examples extremely valuable. As for instance, as we are talking about the fundraising right now today, I met the startup whose founders said, you don't have a permission to write our name in the book. You will be sued to the court. You will have to pay a penalty for doing that. But one of the co-founders shared data about their store and said, I can share that in the book, but I can't mention their startup name. The story was that this startup got funded and they raised more than $11 million. Just imagine, more than $11 million. They entered in, actually, I don't remember, 15 country markets or 10 country markets. So this was not a local startup, but international one already. They had 150 employees. You couldn't say that, well, we didn't succeed because we didn't have enough manpower. No, you had that. And even 2 investors from top 100 startup investors invested that. They said, hey, if these investors believe in our startup, probably have something, what it takes to build a successful startup. And as a matter of fact, they had million of users, more than 1 million of active users of their solution. It was an app, a software, call it as you like, but the startup bankrupt. And now it's a shame for startup founders to acknowledge that they made certain mistakes. So I take this example in the book and explain what mistakes they made. And the long story short, their app was free to use when they were growing. They were building the solution for the problem that was, nice to have, nice to solve the problem, but it was not the essential problem. It was not a headache. So when the company, which invested $11 million in building the solution, in getting the traction in the market, attracting millions of users, more than 1 million users, they tried to charge $5 per month subscription fee. Sorry for the expression. Most of the users said, fuck off. It means your solution as a free solution is okay, but it's not worth even $5. So guys, you've invested $11 million and customers are not willing to pay $5. So before going to investors, before investing your own money into that stuff, you should be sure that people will be willing to pay at least $5 for that solution. So yeah, I share also good and bad examples over there. But most startups were ashamed of attaching their name to bad examples. So the book has more better examples than bad ones.
Thanks. And there's one more question by Hayden. It's the last
when
question
building
in
a
the
tech
chat.
startup. Okay, when building a tech startup, how should I attract a CTO when I'm a business person? Okay, but not enough to build the platform. What should I have already established besides the obvious? Yeah, that's a good question, and sometimes it can be a struggle. I'm also a startup founder, and I'm not a tech person. I'm a business development person, and still I don't have CTO. What can you do? And there is a good book. How it's called? No, it's different. I could share later on the title of the book. It's somewhere in my head. It's about co-founding the right way. If you would check it on Amazon, you will definitely find it's written by one lady. I can't recall her name right now, but the co-founding in the right way. It explains how and why should you find the co-founder, and if it is the best solution for you. In my case, when I was starting to roll out with this startup, I did that test. I got through her questions, and the answer for me was quite obvious. Okay, at this stage, I don't need tech co-founder because of this, and that, but in the future, I will need that. And the technical CTO can be hired. You don't necessarily need to have it as co-founder. Obviously, if we are talking about investments, if we are talking about investors, they want to see CTO and business development person as co-founders. What can you do? First of all, look through your network. And what would I suggest you doing? Try to validate the buy-in of this person. So what I did in my own case, when this product was in early beta, I suggested to one developers, hey, I see you as a possible CTO in this project. I would be willing to pay you that salary that we agreed for delivering this stuff, but I also see you as a possible co-founder, and here it is what I offer. I could give you this amount of equity for this amount of your work. So if you are ready to commit this amount of your work, you will give this, you will get this amount of equity. And this was like a very generous offer from my side, because I know how startups are evaluated in startup ecosystem, and it was like a good deal. But that person didn't buy in. He said, no, I want to get my plain salary for that, for every code line written, for every hour spent on the project, and it's good for me. That was a good indicator for me. So it's better off to be without a tech co-founder, if having just the person who is willing to get only one salary and who doesn't have the stake in the company. That's it. Another maybe not like a shortcut, but the resource for it is to look through your network. Now I have two possible tech co-founders on my list. With two of those, I already mentioned that thing, and we are looking how things will move on. But ask your people around that you are looking for this person with these skills. Maybe somebody knows, maybe somebody could recommend you something, but don't hurry into a marriage with a co-founder. It's like a marriage. So in some cases, it's better to hire this person to see how it goes on, and then think if your views on developing this thing is quite similar.
Okay, and there's a last question by Hayden.
From when raising funding from MSC or elsewhere, I should take as little as needed because I don't want to meet bigger milestones than I want to see. Yep, Hayden, it's very correct. And previously, few years ago, it was like a mantra, fundraise, and get investment as larger as possible Because, when somebody gives you money, take money, but you are very right. If you get, a huge amount of money as an investment, first of all, you will give away large portion of your company. That's like a negative factor to your motivation. And another thing is, yeah, it's related to milestones. And now I see the trend that quite many startups are not looking for investors until a certain point. Why? Because of one key aspect. The later you will try to find the investor, not like to try the investor, you should try to find investors as early as possible, but don't sign deals. Don't say that, hey, I'm begging you invest something in my startup. No, you scout for investors even right now. Okay, what's possible aware, what deals are happening around there, get that knowledge. But think about the actual investment only at that point when you have the product market fit, when you have proven that people are willing to pay for your product, and that you found a scalable way of growing your business. And you need funds only for clear purpose, to build the product or to like advertise, to sell your product in the market. For which purpose? Because the later you will go for fundraising, the higher the value of your startup will be. Initially, if you go like to Lithuanian Angel Investors Network and say, hey, I have an amazing idea, maybe you will get 20K, maybe 50K as an investment, and you will have to give away 10%, 20% of the equity. But if you have the product market fit achieved, if you have, let's say, 5,000 euros monthly recurring revenue going into your company's account, then you can go to the VC, venture capital fund, and say, hey, we meet your criteria already. And for the same 10% of equity, you will get not 50,000 euros, you will get 500,000, 1 million, or even more as an investment. So the later you will look for investor, the higher milestones you achieve till that time, the higher the value of your startup will be. So you will get more funds for a less equity giveaway. That's the main reason why most startups aren't in a rush for fundraising, right at the first day they created their idea.
Okay, so thank you for your questions, guys. I think now we can finalize the trainings. So Donatas, thank you. Your background is really impressive, and I think it was super useful and interesting to hear this keynote. And I honestly believe that hackathon participants will find it useful as well, because it will be uploaded to YouTube, to Discord channels. So yeah, so it was really exciting to have you all here, and see you next time then.
Yeah. Okay, thanks. It was a pleasure. Thanks for questions and for active participation. Bye.
See you guys.